All right, for today's video review, we're taking a look at Transformers Generations Earthrise Ironhide. Ironhide, as mentioned in the last video, came in a Amazon exclusive 2-pack with Earthrise Prowl. So there they are together. And yeah, he's a pretty drastic remold and retool of the Siege Ironhide mold. And here they are for comparison. As you can see, like it's kind of hard to tell, by looking at them here, how many parts they share. Well, I like even a lot of the parts that they share, I think, are even remolded. Like these shoulder blocks here are not even the same part, but it's kind of the same tooling. One surprising thing that they kept over were the wheels, which were kind of, on this one supposed to be like, it's a Cybertronian vehicle. So these are like Cybertronian wheels. So I'm a little bit bummed that they didn't do like more Earth appropriate tires because they still look a little weird and alien, but considering how much they, remolded else on this mold, like I'm okay with it. But yeah, he's a pretty all right van mode. I think the one big issue that everyone has is that the feet are just kind of chilling on the back here and don't fold away anymore, which like was kind of a bummer on this one, but not that big a deal because it's like it's a Cybertronian vehicle. It's all alien, but this is an Earth vehicle, and that is definitely not the back of an Earth van. So I don't know. You could pretend that he's got some sort of like power engine or something on the back. Like I don't know, but there have been a few like third-party kits that replace the feet, so I might look into one of those at some point because it's kind of an eyesore. It doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would, just because like when you're looking at them from the front, like it is a pretty good alt mode overall, especially considering like, it's been ages since we've gotten a good Ironhide, which is to say we haven't really gotten a good Ironhide at all, in my opinion, unless you're looking at like masterpiece stuff, but not in this scale. Like this is a good Ironhide, but not in this mode. It's kind of a bummer that the windows kind of like stop halfway through as well, but you could get stickers to go on top of that. But yeah, to transform this guy, he does do a bit of parts forming, but you take the windshield here and you fold it open. I noticed that I do have a bit of a crack in this little clear plastic piece that's holding that on there, so I would just be very gentle with that. I try to, as soon as I can get my finger in there, I try to just, put my finger on the hinge rather than, leveraging it from this point. And then take these two side window sections and just tilt them out just enough that you can kind of pull off this section. It's pegged in there quite well, so it's a bit of wiggling, but then you have this section. And yeah, he comes with a gun that you can plug into the top in alt mode, but it also does store really nicely in this section, which is such a godsend, because I feel like internalized weapon storage in vehicle mode is just not something that has been prioritized in Transformers for a while, and I'm so happy to see that they've done that. But yeah, then you take this section here and you fold down all the windows, and then this will be a shield for him in robot mode. So we'll put that off to the side. And then from there, it's pretty much like a very close approximation of the Siege one's transformation. Like this is really, you can see how they're more of the same mold, a lot more from this angle, because you couldn't tell in the main alt mode because he's got the big shield on the top, but this definitely makes sense. But yeah, and then you take these side panels and fold them down, and then disconnect these panels from the arms here, split the legs, and then bring in these panels until they peg into place. They've got this peg that goes into the peg hole there, and then bring the side panels down the rest of the way. You take the front bumper and flip it down, and then this section, on the Siege mold, it just spins around. This one you have to like pull it out a click, then rotate it around, and then push it back in. Not entirely sure why. Even if you don't pull it out, it just happens like that naturally. So, and you fold the arms down just like the Siege version. Bring the bumper back up, flip the head around, and then like it does have a tab that goes into a little slot right here. I find that on this version, you kind of have to like push it down until it goes in, and then you bring this up, and there's a couple tabs here that plug into there. I had to like shave down this tab because it really didn't fit in there. It does on the Ratchet version of this mold, but it didn't really with him. But now it works fine. And there you have Ironhide in his robot mode. There's a couple things you can do with the shield. If you want him to hold it, you can obviously plug it onto his arm like a shield. You can plug it into his hand. If you take this slider and pull it out, it reveals these guns, which I wish they had some other way of doing that, because like then when you peg it on, it's like way up there, so it's a little weird looking. Whereas I think it looks better on his arm when it's down like that, but then you don't have the cannons revealed. Eh, you know, it's a kind of a whatever feature, but kind of cool nonetheless. And if you just want to store it, he does have a peg hole in his back, and you can just plug it in there. Yeah, I thought this was another thing about this mold that I thought I would dislike a lot more, and then it doesn't really matter that much in person, is like I thought that it would be kind of a pain to have this on the back, and it weighs him back a little bit, but ultimately, like it doesn't really bother me that much in person. So yeah, it's pretty good Ironhide overall. I like how they decided to give him the more pinky red as opposed to the brighter sort of orangey red that they gave the Siege version, because this is really more accurate to the original Ironhide from the cartoons. But yeah, he looks really good. You can see the head sculpt there, which I'll show off with the Siege version in a sec, but it actually is a different head sculpt, and I like this version, I think, better. Articulation-wise, it's very similar to the Siege version. He's got the shoulder rotation in and out, and then the bicep swivel, tiny bit over 90 of bend at the elbow, wrist rotation, waist rotation, universal joints at the hip that go all the way out. And then, if you've got the shield on, they can obviously go less far back, but got about 90 at the knee, thigh swivel, and then pivots at the feet. So yeah, he's a pretty good articulated, pretty well articulated figure. You can show him off with his other figures here. Here he is again with Siege Ironhide. So you can see definitely, a lot of general stuff stayed the same. Like I think that the forearms are the same and the fists are the same. And then like I guess pretty much everything shoulders down is the same. The hips, the like upper leg sections are the same. The crotch pieces look to be the same. And then I'm pretty sure everything else is different. I mean, there's a lot of internal stuff like, the internal shoulder mechanisms and the panels that the head are on, but otherwise, and the feet are the same. Everything else is completely different. You've got different panels here on the legs, different side panels here, different shoulder blocks, different heads, like I was saying. So you can see the Siege version has a lot more like panel lining and kind of hard edges, whereas they were going for more like soft cartoony look with the Earthrise version. I do think I like this one better, but I mean, I would have been totally satisfied with either of them. They're both good head sculpts, and then obviously the chest is quite different. But yeah, that's what they look like together. Here he is again with Earthrise Prowl, and yeah, they're a pretty good set. I'd say, it's a Prowl feels a little bit more polished because there's just some, some sections here in which he doesn't quite do as impressive like tidying up in terms of like having the feet in the back and then having the big shield be part of his design is like, it's fine, it works, it's still a really good toy, but like not quite on the same level as Prowl, I suppose. And then here he is with Earthrise Optimus Prime. See what they look like together. And yeah, it's a pretty good figure overall. Oh, I forgot to and then of course you can, if you just fold these sections open, you can take the gun out from inside there, and then you can have him hold that. It's kind of a, it's a bit more of a pistol, like rather than like a big exaggerated gun, but I think it works really well, and I appreciate very, very much that it stores in both robot and alternate mode, because that is, oof. Some of those Kingdom figures that are coming up, I'm a little bit worried about, because like I think, like, obviously since all of their weapons are made out of like animal parts, like they'll store just fine in their alternate mode, but I don't know, I don't see any way to store like Cheetor's tail club weapon on him in robot mode, and that is just so necessary in my opinion. So I'm a little bit iffy about that. I'm a little worried. Maybe that they have worked it into the design and I just haven't realized it, but whatever. That's a tangent for another day. But yeah, either way, here we have Ironhide. He is a very good figure. He's small quips about, or small complaints about like the feet. And sometimes he's a little bit hard to stand with a shield, but really if you're on like a flat surface, it works just fine. But yeah, he's a really good figure, and definitely it's a really good set with the two of them if you have the means to get it. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I'm now switching over to do my reviews on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, so make sure to tune in for those. If you have anything you want me to review, make sure to leave it in the comments, and I'll let you know if I can do it. But yeah, here we have Transformers Generations Earthrise Ironhide from the Autobot Alliance 2-pack.